We will be reading Cyropedia Book 4, Section 5. And I may end up doing this in 2 chunks, depending on how it goes. This is a pretty long section, but then Section 6, that is the very end of Book 4, is a pretty short section. So we'll see how we end up dividing the clips. We might do this in 2 or 3 chunks, or just go all the way to the end. We'll see how it goes. Without further ado, this is Cyropedia Book 4, Section 5, and beginning with English. When they were gone, Cyrus said, "Medes and Armenians, it is now high time for us all to go to dinner, and everything necessary has been prepared for you to be the best. That everything necessary has been prepared for you to be best of our abilities. Go then and send to us half of the bread that has been baked. Enough has been made for all, but do not send us any meat, nor anything to drink, for enough has been provided for us at our own quarters." Epitha ekini Okondo, Okiros Ipin, Ora the Omithi, Te Armenii, Dipnin, Pasin Imin, Paraskevista, the Imin, Tapitidia Osimis Veltista Edinamatha, All Ite Ke Imin, Pempeta tu Pepi Imenu, Situ Ton Imisin, Ikanos the amphoteris pepiite, opson the mi pempeta mi the pien, ikanagar echomen parimin of tis pariskev asmena. "And you Hyrcanians," he said, "to these lead them to the several tents, the officers to the largest. You know which they are, and the rest as you think best. And you yourselves also may dine where it best pleases you, for your own tents are also safe and sound, and there also the same provision has been made for these. Ke imisde o Irkanii, epi diagatav tus, epitas skinas, tus menarchonos, epitas magistas, gignoskita the, tus the alus, Osan the ki kalistechin, keafti the dipnita opu per eviston imin. Somenkar imin ke erei eskine. Paraskevista the ke anthada osper ke tutis. And all of you may be assured of this, that we shall keep the night watches for you outside the camp. But do you look out for what may happen in the tents, and have your arms stacked conveniently, for the men in the tents are not yet our friends. Ke tuto the ista foteri otitamen exoimin imis nikto philakisomen. Ta the enteskines av ti orata, ke ta opla ev tithesta, igar enteskines upo signomi, upo fili imin. 4. And the Medes and Tigranes and his men bathed, changed their clothes, for they were provided with a change, and went to dinner. Their horses also were provided for. Imen the Midi ke I amphi Tigranes elundo ke ingar paraskevas mana imatia metalavondas adipnun ke iipi aftisikon tapitidia. Of the bread, half was sent to the Persians, but neither meat for relish nor wine was sent, for they thought that Cyrus and his men had those articles left in abundance. But what Cyrus meant was that hunger was their relish, and that they could drink from the river that flowed by. Tis persis de epempon ton arton tus imisis, opson de uk epempon, uth enon iomini achin tus vi chiron eti afthona tafta. O the chiros tafta elegan, opson men ton limon, piyin the apotu para reondos potamu. Accordingly, when Cyrus had seen that the Persians had their dinner, he sent many of them out when it was dark, in squads of 5 and 10, with orders to lie in hiding round about the camp. For he thought that they should serve as sentinels in case anyone should come to attack from the outside, and at the same time that they would catch anyone who tried to run away with his possessions. And it turned out so, for many did try to run away, and many were caught. Omenun Kyros, the Nisas tus Persas, Episineskotase, Kata Pempadas, Ke Kata the Kathas Polus of Tone, the Epempson, Ke Akelevson, Kiklo tu Stratopodeo Creeptevin. No mizon alma men philakin assista, anti-saxothen prosi amathe, anti-saxoferon cremata apodithroski a losestav tone, ke genento uto polimengar apethithroskon polithe ealoson. 6. And Cyrus permitted those who effected the capture to keep the spoil, but the men he bade them slay. And so after that you could not easily have found, had you tried, anyone attempting to get away by night. O the Kyros, tamen cremata, tus lavondas echin, tus anthropus apos faxa akelefsen, ut osta tulipu uda vulomenos on ivres radios ton nictor poravomenon. 7. Thus then the Persians employed their time, but the Medes drank and reveled and listened to the music of the flute and indulged themselves to the full with all sorts of merrymaking. For many things that contribute to pleasure had been captured, so that those who stayed awake were at no loss for something to do. 7. Emen the perse uto the egon, either midi, ke evocundo, ke apinon, ke evlundo, ke passis epithemias, and pimblando, polagar, ke ta tiafta ilo, ostemi aporin, agon, tus egregorotas. 8. And now the night in which Cyrus had marched out, Cyaxares, the king of the Medes, and his messmates got drunk in celebration of their success. And he supposed that the rest of the Medes were all in the camp except a few, for he heard a great racket. For inasmuch as their masters had gone off, the servants of the Medes were drinking and carousing without restraint, especially as they had taken from the Assyrian army wine, and many other supplies. O the Kiexaris, O ton midon Vasilevs, tin men nichta en e exilthen o Kiros of Tos, te amethiskato meth on per eskinu os ep evtichia. Ketus alus, the midus, oeto, parina ento stratopedho, plin oligon, arcuon thorivon polin, igaricete ton midon, ate ton despoton, apalilithoton, anamenos epinon, ke ethrivun, alos te ke ectu assyriu stratevmetos ke enon ke alapola iliphotos. 9. But when it was day and no one came to his headquarters except those who had been dining with him, and when he heard that the camp was forsaken by the Medes and the cavalry, and when he discovered on going out that such was really the case, then he fumed and raged against both Cyrus and the Medes, because they had gone off and left him deserted. And straightway, in keeping with his reputation for being violent and unreasonable, he ordered one of those present to take his own cavalry corps and proceed at topmost speed to Cyrus's army and deliver the following message. Epi the imera ganito, ke epithiras uthis ike plin iper ke sinadipnun, ke to strotopithon equa ki canon ina ton midon ke ton ipeon, ke eora epi the exilthen utos echonda, and after the every mundo tetokiro ke tis midis to catalipondas of ton erimon egasta. Ke aphes osperlegata omosina ke agnomon ton porondon kalevi tina lavonda tusef tui peas brevista os takista epito amphikiron strativma ke lagging tada. 10. I should think that even you, Cyrus, would not have shown such want of consideration toward me. And if Cyrus were so minded, I should think that at least you, Medes, would not have consented to leave me thus deserted. And now if Cyrus will, let him come with you. If not, do you at least return to me as speedily as possible. Emin men eguga, udan se okira, periamu utos apronoitos vulevsa, idekiros uto gignoski, uk animas omili, ethelisa utos erimon emme catalipin, ke ninan men kiros, vulite, either me emis gatin tahistin paresta. 11. Such was his message. But he said, to whom he gave the marching order, and now shall I find them? And how shall I find them, your majesty? How, he answered, did Cyrus and those with him find those against whom they went? Why, said the man, by Zeus, I am told that some Hyrcanians who had deserted from the enemy came hither and went away as his guides. Endeka. Tafta the Epestilen. O the Tetomenos, Paravis the Ephi. Ke pos, O the Espota, ego Evriso, Akinus, pos the Kyros Effie. Ke isinavto Ephus eporevondo Otini the Effie akuo apastikotas ton polamion irkanius tinas ke elthondas devro ikasta ugumenus avto. 12. Upon hearing this, Cyaxares was much more angry than ever with Cyrus for not even having told him that, and when he sent off in greater haste to recall the Medes, for he hoped to strip him of his forces. And with even more violent threats than before, he ordered the Medes to return, and he threatened the messenger. Also, if he did not deliver the message, if he didn't deliver his message in all its emphasis, he threatened the messenger if he didn't deliver his message with all of its emphasis. Okay. Akusas datafta o Kyaxares, polymalon eti to Kiro or Gizato, to miv ipin aftotavta ke polis buzi malon epimpen, epi to semidus, os psiloson Afton ke ischiroteron eti e prosten tis midis apilon apicali ke to pempomeno the epili e mi ishirostafta apigeli. 13. Accordingly, the officer assigned to his duty set out with his cavalry, about 100 in number, vexed with himself for not having gone along with Cyrus when he went. And as they proceeded on their journey, they were misled by a certain bypath, and so lost their way and did not reach the army of their friends until they fell in with some deserters from the Assyrians and compelled them to act as their guides. And so they came in sight of the campfires sometime about midnight. Oh, man, the Pambomenos eporevato achon tous ev tu ipeas os ekaton. Ani omenos oti u keavtos tota eporevthi, batatu kiru. And that he, although poravomani diaskisthendes trivo tini aplanondo, ke uprosthen aficondo, epiton filion stratigma, prin eticondes apocorusi, tc ton assyrion anankasan avtus igista. Caiutos aficnunda ta piracatidondas amphi messus post nictas. 14. And when they came up to the camp, the sentinels, following the instructions of Cyrus, refused to admit them before daylight. Now, at the peep of day, the first thing that Cyrus did was to call the Magi and bid them select the gifts ordained for the gods in acknowledgement of such success. Epi the aganondo pros to stratopedo e filices osper irimanon in apokiru uk e safricon avtus proimeras. Epi the imera f ifeni ipefina proton man tus magus colesen signomi colesas proton men tus magus colesas o kyros ta tis theis nomizomena epi tis tiutis agathis exeresta akeleve. And they proceeded to attend to this while he called the peers together and said, "Friends, God holds out before us many blessings, but we Persians are under the present circumstances. We are under the present circumstances too few to avail ourselves of them. For if we fail to guard what we win, it will again become the property of others. And if we leave some of our own men to guard what falls into our possession, it will very soon be found out that we are no strength." Ke imen amphi tafta ikon. O the synekalisas tus motimus ipen andres omenthos profeni polakagatha imis the iperse ento parondi oligias men os ekratis ina of tone itagar oposa on pros ergosomatha mi philoxamen polintafta alotria Esta, ita catalip somentina Simon afton philicas epitis epitis aphimin gignomenis avtika udemia iskin ekondes anaphanumatha. 16. Accordingly, I have decided that one of you should go with all speed to Persia, present my message, and ask them to present reinforcements with the utmost dispatch. If the Persians desire to have control of Asia and the revenues accruing therefrom, though kiunmi os takista iena tina imon is persis, ke didaskina perigolego, ke kalevin os takista epipempin strativma iper epithimusa perse tin arkin tis asias of tis ke tin carposin genesta. 17. Do you therefore go, for you are the senior officer, and when you arrive, tell them this. And say also that for whatever soldiers they send, I will provide maintenance after they come. Conceal from them nothing in regard to what we have, and you see for yourselves what there is. And what portion of these spoils honor and the law require that I should send to Persia. In regard to what is due the gods, ask my father. In regard to what is due to the state, ask the authorities, and let them send men also to observe what we do and to answer our questions. And you, said he, make ready and take your own platoon to escort you. Ithimenun si, Effie. Opres vitatos, ke ion taftalega. Ke oti us on pempusin stratiotas, epidhan elus elthosi parema, emi malisi peritrophis of tis, the echomen imis, oras men of tos, creep the tuton mi then, oti the tuton ego pempo is perses kalos, ke nomimos piin, on ta men pros tus theus ton patera erota ta the prostokini ta sarkos signomi tokini or tokinon pemsaton the ke optiras on protamen ke frastiras on erotomen ke semen effi skevazu ke ton lokon pro pombon aga. 18. And after this he called in the Medes also, and at the same moment the messenger from Cyaxares presented himself,
and in the presence of all reported his king's anger against Cyrus and his threats against the Medes. And at the last, he said that Cyaxares ordered the Medes to return, even if Cyrus wished to stay. Ektutu the ketus Medus akali, ke ama o paratuxi xarawangalos paristata, ke en pasi tinte pros chiron orgin, ke tas pros Medus apilas of tu elega, ke telos ipen oti apiena Medus kalevi, ke e kiros menin vulata. On hearing the messenger, therefore, the Medes were silent, for they were at a loss how they should disobey him when he summoned them, and they asked themselves in fear how they could obey him when he threatened so, especially as they had experienced in his fury. Thank you for whoever's watching. We are in the middle of Cyropedia Book 4, Section 5, and now we're going to the Greek for Section 19. Men un media kusandes tu angelo asigisan, aporon men pos kri kalundos apithin, fo vumini the pos kri apilundi ip akusa. Alos te keidotes tin omotita of 2. 20. But Cyrus said, well, sir, messenger, and you Medes, inasmuch as Cyaxares saw in our first encounter that the enemy were numerous, and as he does not know how we have been faring, I am not at all surprised that he is concerned for us and for himself. But when he discovers that many of the enemy have been slain and all have been routed, in the first place, he will banish his fears, and in the second place, he will realize that he is not deserted now when his friends are annihilating his enemies. The Kirosipen. Alago, o angala, ta ke midi uzen. Effie. Thavmazo. Then Thavmazo. Then Thavmazo. Thank you for whoever's watching again. This is Cyropedia Book 4, Section 5, Verse 20. And I'm just getting ready. I was trying to mark this because it says Uzen Thavmazo, and it's interesting because Uzen Thavmazo is going to be for a prerequisite to the modern Greek then Thavmazo. So a little note there that in this section it actually uses Uzen Thavmazo, which is getting ready for modern Greek then Thavmazo. So this is close enough. Uzen Thavmazo. Ixares polus men polemius tot idon imas that ukidos oti pratamen okni perite imon ke periaftu epidon the ace theta polus menton polemion apololotas pondas the apoleli apelila menus, okay, pondas the apelila menus, proton men pavsata, fovumenos apita gignoskata, oti unin ermos gignita, inica ephili of tu sakinu ecthrus apeliasin. 21. But further, how do we deserve any blame, since we have been doing him good service and have not been doing even that on our own motion? But I, for my part, first got his consent to march out and take you with me, while you did not ask whether you might join the expedition, and you are not here now because you deserted. Sorry, you're not here now because you desired to make such an expedition, but because you were ordered by him to make it. Whoever of you was not averse to it, with wrath, therefore, I am quite sure, will be assuaged by our successes. This wrath, therefore, I am quite sure, will be assuaged by our successes and will be gone with the passing of his fear. Allah min mem seoska poses men axii evte piunda sakinon ke udetafta aftomatisandas al egomen akinon episa yase me lavonda imas exothin imista ugos epithimundos tis exodu erotisata I exite kenin devroikete alipakinu kalavsthendas exiena oto imon mi achthomeno wii ke iorgi unafti safida ipote ton agathon pe panthesita ke sintofovo ligondi apisi. 22. Now therefore, Sir Messenger, said he, take some rest, for you must be fatigued. And since we are expecting the enemy to come either to surrender or possibly to fight, let us, fellow Persians, get into line in as good order as possible, for if we present such an appearance, it is likely that we shall better promote the accomplishment of what we desire. And you, King of Hyrcania, be pleased to order the commanders of your forces to get them under arms, and then attend me here. Nin men un efi, si te owangala, anapavsa, epi men epi ke peponikan, epi ke peponikasi mister o perse, epi prostacomatha polemius, iti macumenus, ge, episomenus parasista. Tachthomon os kalista, utogar oromenus, ekos pleon proanitin, os chrysomen. See the efi, o ton irkanion archon, epominon, prostaxis, tis igamosi, ton son stratioton exopleasing obtus. 23. And when the Hyrcanians had done so and returned, Cyrus said, I am delighted, King of Hyrcania, to see that you not only show me your friendship by your presence, but also that you evidently possess good judgment. And now it is evident that our interests are identical, for the Assyrians are enemies to me, and now they are still more hostile to you than to me. Epi the tafta piesus, o Hyrcanios, prosilthan, legi o Kyros, ego the efi o Hyrcania. Idame esthenomenos, oti umonon philion epi the knimenos, pari, Allah ke sinistine, sinasine, fanimi achin, ke nin oti simferi imin tafta dilon. Emitegar polemi Assyrii si te nin eti ekthiondas isin emi. 24. Under these circumstances, we must both take counsel that none of the allies now present shall desert us, and also that if we can, we may secure other allies besides. Now you heard that the Mede, recalling the cavalry, and if they go away, we only, the infantry, shall be left. Utos un imin amphoteres vulevteon opos ton men nin parondon midis apu statisi imin simachon. Alus the eon dinomatha pros lipsomatha to the midu eques apokalundos tus ipeas. Ideuti piasin imismono ipezi menumen. 25. Accordingly, it is necessary for you and for me to do all we can to make this man also, who is recalling them, desire to remain with us, with himself. To remain with us himself. Do you, therefore, find and assign to him a tent where he will have the best kind of a time and everything he wants, while I, for my part, will try to assign him some posts that he himself would rather fill than go away. And do you have a talk with him and tell him that wealth, we have hopes that all of our friends will obtain if we are successful in this. And when you have done this, come back again to me. Ecosipenda. Utos un di pien, eme que se opos o apocolon, utos que aftos, menin parimin vilicita, semen un evron, skinin dos afto, opocalista the oxyponda, ta theonda econ, go there, av pirasome, afto ergon t prostaxa osperavtos idion, proxy eapc. Que the alegu the avto oposa el pis genesta agatha pasi tis filis in taft evgenita piesus mendi avta ika pauline parama. Accordingly, the Hyrcanians took the mead and went away to a tent. And then the officer who was going to leave for Persia presented himself ready to start. And Cyrus commissioned him to tell the Persians what has been set forth in the foregoing narrative and also to deliver a letter to Cyrus. Now, he said, I wish to read my message to you also that you may understand its contents and confirm the facts if he asks you anything in reference of them. Now the content of the letter ran as follows. Omen un, omen the, Irkanii, ton methon okato, agon episkinin. Oda is persos, ion, parin, sineske vasmenos, oda kiros of to op estila. Pros ton persas legin a ke prosthen into logo the velote. Ki exari the apozuna tagramata anagnona the si ke ta epistelomena affivulame ina ethos tafta homologis eantisa prostafta erota. And in the anti-epistoli tatha. 27. My dear Cyaxares, we have not left you deserted, for no one is deserted by his friends at a time when he is conquering his enemies. We do not even think that we have brought you into any danger through our departure, but we maintain that the farther away we are, the greater the security we provide for you. Kyros Xixari Keri. Emis se uta erimon katalipamen. Udhiskar otanexron krati. tota philon elrimos gignita. Uthe min apocorundesge se iomatha en kindino kathistana. Allah oso pleon apecomen tosuto pleonasi tin asphalion pien no mesomen. 28. For it is not those who sit down nearest to their friends that provide them with the greatest security, but it is those who drive the enemy farthest away that help their friends most effectually out of danger. Ugar e angitata ton philon kathemini malistatis philis tinas phalion paracusin, alitus extrus mikistone apolavnodes malantus philos in akindio kathistasi. 29. And consider how I have acted toward you, and how you have acted toward me, and yet in spite of all, you are finding fault with me. At all events, I brought you allies, not merely as many as you persuaded to come, but as many as ever I had it in my power to bring, whereas you gave it to me. And I, when I was on friendly soil, as much as I could persuade to join me, and now when I am in the enemy's territory, you are recalling not merely those who may be willing to leave me, but all my men. Skepsa the ondi mi perisa eos on periame epitami memphi. Egomen ga si igagon si machus. Uk osus si episas alaposus ego plistus edinamin. Si the miadukas men in ti philia ondi osus pisa dynastiin. Ninda en ti polemia ondos uto thelunda Allah hondas apocalypse. 30. Indeed, I thought at that time that I was under obligation both to you and to your men, but now you are acting so as to force me to leave you out of consideration and to try to devote all my gratitude to those who have followed me. Tigar un, tota men omin, futeris imin charin ophilim. Ninda si manca anakazis, su men epilathesta, tis de aculusisi pirasta pasantin charin apodidona. 31. However, I cannot, on my part, treat you in the same spirit as you treated me. But at this very moment, I am sending to Persia for reinforcements, with directions that as many as shall come to join me shall be at your service, if you need them for anything before we return. Not as they may be pleased to serve, but as you may wish to employ them. Umendi egoga si Almios diname genestha. Allah kenin pampon epistratima is persis epistello. Aposion eosi no seme. In ti siafton thei prini masalthin si parkin. Uk oposan athelosin all oposan si vuli chrisaftis. 32. Furthermore, although I am a younger man than you, let me advise you not to take back what you have once given, lest ill will be your due instead of gratitude, nor to summon with threats those whom you would have come to you quickly. And again, let me advise you not to employ threats against large numbers, while at the same time you assert that you are deserted for fear, you teach them to pay no attention to you. Sim vulevo the si, que per neotros son mi aferiste on dos. Inamisi di cariton extra, o filon de mith on dina vuli prosa tachial thin, apilunda metapemsista mi the fasconda erimon ina, ama police abelthin, ina mi didaskis of tus su mi prondizin. 33. We shall try, however, to come to you just as soon as we have accomplished what we think it would be common benefit to you and to us to have done. Farewell, Cyrus. Emis the Pirasomatha Parina. Otantakista the Proxomatha Asi Tan Kaimin Nomizaman Prathenda Kinaganesta Agatha Eroso. Thank you for everyone watching. Just counting the pages. I might end up just reading this whole thing in one giant piece. This section's kind of a long section, so that's why I'm wondering if I need to split this up. I think I'm going to go with it. I'm just going to keep reading. Deliver this to him, and whatever he asks you in regard to these matters, answer him in keeping with what is written. And you can do this with perfect truth, for my instructions to you in regard to the Persians correspond exactly with what is written in my letter. Thus he spoke to him, and giving him the letter, sent him away, adding the injunction that he should make haste, as one who knows that it is important to be back again promptly. Tafta of to apothos, ke otion statutona rota, igegrapta sympathy, ke go epistelo si, periperson ipergegrapta, tuto men utos ipe ke thus ti epistolin, epepem pros endilamenos utos spavin os perithen oti simferi tachi perina. 35. At the same moment, he observed that all, both the Medes and the Hyrcanians and Tigranes men, were already under arms, and the Persians also stood under arms, and some of the natives from near by were already delivering up horses and arms. Ectutu the Eora men, ex o please manus, Ethi pandas ke tus midus, ke tus Hyrcanius, ke tus amphiti granin, ke e perse the ex o please mani isan. Ethi the tinas ton pros choron, ke ipus apigon, ke opla ap epheron. And the javelins he commanded them to throw down to the same place as in the former instance. And they, whose task this was, burned all that they did not themselves need, But as for the horses, he commanded those who brought them to keep them and wait until he sent them word. Then he called the officers of the cavalry and those of the Hyrcanians and spoke as follows. O the Tafta men Palta, O puper tus prosthen katavalin akelevsa, ke ekaon is tuto ergon in aposon miafti eveondo, tus the ipus akeleve filatin menondas, tus agagondas eosanti simanthi of tis, tus the archondas toni peon ke ircanion kalesos tiada elixen. Friends and allies, do not wonder that I call you together so often, for our present situation is novel, and many things about it are in an unorganized condition, and whatever lacks organization must necessarily always cause us trouble until it is reduced to order. Andres, Fili, te kesimaki, mi thavmazate oti polaki si masinkalo, ke na gari min onda ta paronda polav ton estin asinkata. Adhan asinkata I ananki tafta I pragmata parekin elsan horon lavi. 38. We now have much spoil that we have taken, and besides, we've taken men. But as we do not know how much of it belongs to each one of us, and as the captives do not know who are their several masters, it is consequently impossible to see very many of them attending to their duty, for almost all are in doubt as to what they are expected to do. Triandocto, ke nin esti men imin polakai e malota crimata ke andras epaftis. Diada to mita imasi thena pia tutona costu estimon. Mita tutu si thena ostis a costu of tone of the spotis. Peranondas men thee ta theon tau Paniesti oran avton pelus. Aparundas the oti kri pien skevon pandas. 39. In order, therefore, that this may not go on so, divide the spoil, and whoever has been assigned a tent with plenty of food and drink and people to serve him, and bedding and clothing and other things with which a soldier's tent should be furnished, so as to be comfortable. In such a case, nothing more need be added except that he who has received it should be given to understand that he must take care of it as his own. But if anyone has got into quarters that lack something, do you make a note of it and supply the want. Os mi utoachi, the arisatefta, Chaostis meneleva, skinin akusan ikana, kesita, kepota, ketus, ip eritisondas, ke stromnin, ke asthita, ke tala isikita, skinia, carlos, stratiotiki. And Daufthemena then allo the proskenesta iton lavonda ivena oti tuton men ikion epimelsta the ostis the is and the omena tu kateskinosa tutis men tutis emis skepsamani to elipon ek plerosata. 40. And I am sure that what is left over will be considerable, for the enemy had more of everything than is required by our numbers. Furthermore, the treasure both of the Assyrian king and of the other monarchs have come to me to report that they have gold coins in their possession, by which they referred to certain payments of tribute. Saranda, Polidze ke ta perita, id otiesta, pli ogar aponda, I katato, I meteron, plethos, ichon, I polemi, ilthon the proseme, ke crematon tamia, I te tu assyrion vasileos, ke aulon dynastom, I elegon oti chrysion, I paras visin episimon das mustinas legonas. 41. Notify them, therefore, to deliver all this also to you, wherever you have your headquarters, and give that man reason to fear, who shall not do as you command. And do you take the money and pay it out to the cavalry and the infantry, and to the proportions of 2 to 1, in order that you may all have the wherewithal to buy whatever you still may need. Srandana, ke tafta un ki ritata, ponda apoferin prosimas opuan kathesista, ke fovon epitethista, to mi piundo to parangalomenon, imis the diadota lavondas, ep men to the plun, pezotha to a plun, inachita, intinos prosdeista, ke otu onisista. 42. Furthermore, he added, let the herald proclaim that no one shall interfere with the market in the camp, but that the hucksters may sell what each of them has for sale, and when they have disposed of that, get in a new stock, that our camp may be supplied. Tin the agoran, tin usan, into strapetheo, kirixato men idi. Afi men adi kin mi thena, Pauline the tus capilus. Otiakiakastos prosimon, ketafta theothemenus le alat agin, opus ikita imin to stratopethon. And they proceeded at once to issue the proclamation but the Medes and the Acadians asked, how could we divide the spoil without help from you and from your men? Tafta men kiriton ephes, emen mithi ke irkan ipon otha, ke post on epheson emis anefsu ke ton son the nemina tafta. 44. And Cyrus in turn answered their question as follows. Why, my good men, do you really suppose that we must all be present to oversee everything that has to be done, and that I shall not be competent in case of need to do anything on your behalf, nor you again on ours? How else could we make more trouble and accomplish less than in this way? Saranda Tesra, O the Av Kiros, Uktuto ton logon Oza pros inekthi, Igaruto Safio Andres Gignoskita, Osotion Thei Proxina, Epipasi Pondus Imas Daisi Parina. Keut go oresco arceso praton ti pro imon otion thei Uta imis proimon, que pos analos plio men pragmata achimen, mio the pratimatha iutos. 45. No, said he, you must look to it, for we have kept it for you, and you must have confidence in us that we have kept it well. Now, for your part, do you divide it, and we shall have the same confidence in your dividing it fairly. So on dependa. Alorata efi imis mengar dia philoxamenta imin tada, ke imis imin pistevita, kalos dia pephiloktha. Imis the av the animata, ke imis pistevsamen, imin kalos the nen mikana. 46. And there is something more that we, on our part, shall try to gain for the common advantage. For here you observe, first of all, how many horses we have right now, and more are being brought in. If we leave them without riders, they will be of no use to us, but will only give us the trouble of looking after them. But if we put riders upon them, we shall at the same time be rid of the trouble and add strength to ourselves. Ke alo the ti av imis pirasomatha, ki nonagathon protein, orata garthi, efi, nini proton epi osi imin parisin, either pros agunda, tus un imen easamen, anam vatus o felisusi men uden imas. Pragmata the perexusin epimelista, nin the paias ep of tus cat estisamen, ama pragmaton te op alaxomatha ke skin imin of tis pros thesomatha. 47. If therefore you have others to whom you would rather give them, and with whom you would rather go into danger, if need should be, then with us offer them the horses. If, however, you should wish to have us as your comrades, in preference to others, give them to us. Emen un alus echeta. Istisin on the ita of tus, meth on ke kindinevita idion, ita thei methimon, akinis didota, mendi imas vulista, parastatus on malista, akini mean of tus dota. 48. And I have good reason for asking. For just now, when you rode on into danger without us, you filled us with apprehension lest something should happen to you, and made us very much ashamed because we were not at your side. But if we get the horses, we shall follow you next time. Kegar nin. Ota anev imon prosalasandes. Akin the nevita. Polin men fovon, imin parikata, miti pathita, mala the eskinas the imas piisata, otiu parimen, opu men imis, in the lavamen to sipus, epsomatha imin. 49. And if it seems that we are of more use to you by fighting with you on horseback, in that case we shall not fail for want of courage. But if it seems that by turning footmen again we could assist to better advantage, it will be open to us to dismount and at once stand by you as foot soldiers. And as for the horses, we shall manage to find someone to whom we may entrust them. Con men the common, ophelin, pleonop of tone, sin agonizomeni, uto prothemias uthen ellipsemen. In the pezi genomeni the comen, herioteros on parina, tote catavina in maso keathis pezi imin parisomatha, tus the ipus, mechanisomatha is on para the imen. 50. Thus he spoke, and they made answer. Well, Cyrus, we have no men whom we could mount upon these horses. And if we had, we should not choose to make any other disposition of them, since this is what you desire. So now, they added, take them and do as you think best. Peninda. Omen utos elixen. Either apocrinato olimismen okira, ut andras ecomen, us anavivasemen on epitutus tusipus, ut ecomen su tafto vulomenu, aloan on di tuton iromatha, canin ephason tutus lavon pe, opos aristonsi dokina. 51. Well, he said, I accept them. May good fortune attend our turning into horsemen and your dividing the common spoils. In the first place, set apart for the gods whatever the Magi direct, as they interpret the will of the gods. Next, select for Cyaxares also whatever you think would be most acceptable to him. Peninda Enna. Allah dejo mete efi ke agathitihi imis te ipis genimetha ke imis the elita takina proton men un tis theis efi ex arita otiani magi exigonda epita the ke kixari ek lexista opion eastaf to malista charizista. 52. They laughed and said that they would have to choose women for him. Choose women then, said he, and whatever else you please. And when you have made your choice for him, then do you Hyrcanians do all you can to see that all those who volunteer to follow me have no cause to complain. Peninda Theo, ke e galassundas epon otiginecus exarete onii, ginecas tatinin exerita efi, ke alu otiando ki imin. Epithon the equino excelita of tus emi, o ircanii, Ethelusius, tutus epispomenus pondas amemptus pieta is thinamin. (53) And do you, Medes, in your turn, show honor to those who first became our allies, that they may think that they have been well advised in becoming our friends, and allot his proper share to everything to the envoy who came from Cyaxares to those who attended him, and invite him also to stay on with us, and give him to understand that this is my pleasure also, so that he may know better the true state of things and report the facts to Cyaxares concerning each particular. And for the Persians with me, said he, what is left after you are simply provided for will suffice for us. For we have not been reared in any sort of luxury, but altogether in rustic fashion, so that you would perhaps laugh at us if anything gorgeous were to be put upon us, even as we shall, I know, furnish you no little cause for laughter when we are seated upon our horses, and I presume, he added, when we fall off upon the ground. Emis the av omidi, tus protus simachus genomenus, timata tutus, opos ev vevulevsa, igisonda imin fili genomeni, nimata the pondontomerus, keto paraki exaru ikondi afto te ketis medaftu. Kesin the amenin the parakalita, os emi tuto sin the kun, ina ke kiexari maloni those, periakastu apangili taunda. Perses the efitis metamu, osa an perita genita imon kalos kataskevas manon, tafta or kesi. Kegar efi mala posi mis uk en hlivi trathramatha ala koritikos. Osta iso san imon condigalasata eti semnon imin peritathii. Osper efi Eve oti polin imin galota paraxamen ke epitonipon kathemani imi the efi ke epitis gis kata piptondes. $55. Hereupon they proceeded to the division of the spoil, laughing heartily at his joke about the Persian horsemanship, while he called his captains, and ordered them to take the horses and the grooms and the trappings of the horses and to count them off and divide them by lot, so that they should each have an equal share for each company. Panita Pempta. Ektutu, Imenisan, Epitin, the Erisin, Mala Epitoi Pico Galondas. Ovetus, Taxiarchus, Colossus, Ekeleva Tusipus, Lamvanin, K ta tod ipon skevi, K tus ipo colmus, K arthmisundas the lavine, K arthmisundas the lavine. Clerosemenus, Eastoxine, Isus, Acastes. 56. And again Cyrus ordered proclamation to be made that if there were anyone from Media or Persia or Bactria or Caria or Greece or anywhere else forced into service as a slave in the army of the Assyrians or Syrians or Arabians, he should show himself. Aphis the Okiros, Anipin, Akelefson, Itis E, Ento Asirio, Isiron, Arvion, Stratevmati, Anir, Dhulos, Midon, Person, Ivactrion, Caron, Kilikon, Elinon, Alothenpothen, Vevias Manos, Ekfenista. 57. And when they heard the herald's proclamation, many came forward gladly, and he selected the finest looking of them and told them that they should be made free, but that they would have to act as carriers of any arms given them to carry, and for their sustenance he himself, he said, would make provision. Panindepta. Either Kusandus to Kyrikos Osmani Poli Prufanisan O the ekluxamenos of tone tus ta ili veltistus elegan otielefterus of tus ondas daisi opla ipoferin on of tis didosi ta the epitelia opus on ecusin affi of to melisine. 58. And so when he led them at once to his captains and presented them, but bidding his men give them their shields and swords without belts, that they might carry them and follow their horses. Furthermore, he bade his captains draw rations for them, just as for the Persians under him. The Persians also, moreover, he bade always ride on horseback with their corslets and lances, and he himself set the example of doing so. He also instructed each one of the newly mounted officers to appoint some other peer to take his place of command over the infantry of the peers. Penindependa, Keavthis, Agon, Pros, Tus, Taxiarchus, Sinesti Senaf Tus, Kelevse, Ta, Te, Gera, K, Tas, Silas, Makeras. Tu tis duna, opos, acondas, sin tis, ipis, eponda, K tapitidia tutis, osper, K tis, met of tu, Persis lumvani, of tus, the tus thoricos, K taxista, acondas, ai epitoni poni, o kista, Heaftos uto pion katirken, epi the tus pezus, ton omotimon, anth of two, akastone, kathistana, alon arkonda, ton omotimon. And that is the end of section 5. There is one more section of book 4, and that is going to be section 6. It's a very small section with only 12 different verses. And we will do that next time and finish out the entire book 4 of Cyropedia by Xenophon.